I would say, I mean, I do care about food security, and it's something that I've gotten, obviously, once I actually started farming and I learned about, you know. I think for me, yeah, it was a food security issue. It was also like, I want cities to have like gardens that can be seen by the public. And yes, I want people to have access to the food that is growing in those gardens, but I think even just the seeing of it is like inspiring.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you for having me. Ben, it's also very good to see you.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. This is water.
Are you allowed to cheers water?
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't
You can
know.
cheers
it's
water.
Bad luck.
Water is the lifeblood of a farm.
It just can't be empty, I think.
Yeah. So, thanks for sitting down here with me at Germantown Kitchen Garden here in Germantown, Philadelphia. Do you consider it part of Philadelphia?
It is part of Philadelphia. Yeah.
And I feel like I was trying to think about when we first met.
I remember.
And maybe you have a more detailed memory of the first instance,
like
it was 20 years ago.
It was like it was more than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It was like 22 years ago, maybe 21 years ago.
And
2005.
we were both in Camden, New Jersey.
That's right.
And you were farming there, and you were also doing some community garden farming work in Kensington as well.
Yeah, you have a good memory.
But I remember, being in Camden and like seeing the garden there with Andrea, and just thinking like this. I always had an interest in farming, but I never had really thought about urban farming because I was a country boy, you know, and it was one of my first experiences with an urban farm and an urban garden, and it was really cool and fascinating, and it felt like a very, for lack of a better word, like righteous fight and battle to be taking, especially in Camden. I mean, Philadelphia has plenty of, kind of abandoned, forsaken urban places as well. Most people don't think about farming in the city in the same, sentence. Well, first of all, I wanted to also say that I like how you always wear our hats.
I can't find it. It's so funny because, I mean, it's in my house.
Okay, good.
But I was so sad because yesterday was my first day back at work, and I was like, where's my work hat? Where is it? I was like just stomping around the house.
Well, good. This is perfect. This is perfect.
And I'm kind of sad I'm not wearing it. You
well,
have a new one?
I brought you some hats. Because you always wear a trucker hat.
I always wear it.
It's basically the one you're wearing right now.
Yeah.
Is that a Mad Ag hat?
Yeah.
So it's either the right whale hat or the wild fox hat. So I brought you two more wild fox hats.
Thank you so much.
I didn't have a cool blue one like you already have.
I know, the blue one is really nice. This is great though. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is like really exciting.
So now you don't even have to find the other one.
I know. I mean, I do want to find it, but it's good because I don't like wash my hats as much as I should.
Oh yeah. Well,
I wash them, but
most farmers have their work hat, their dirty work hat.
I know, but it's just like, come on, you got to do something. These are so cute.
Cool. So, the origins. What's your origin story? What got you interested in agriculture, and then specifically urban agriculture?
I mean, I think I might have been interested in urban agriculture before I was interested in. I don't know. I was living in Kensington, as you said. So before I moved to Camden. I had lived in Kensington just for a couple years. Before that, I was in South Philly for years, and Kensington at the time just had so much vacant land. Like South Philly didn't really. There weren't other parts of the city that I was familiar with that were just like you would ride your bike through a neighborhood and it would just be vacant lot after vacant lot after vacant lot. And I mean, some of them were. Kensington also has just like decades-long standing gardens that people take care of, so in the Puerto Rican neighborhoods or in these other neighborhoods, they're just like, you'll ride your bike by this like super crazy tiny like row home lot with like peach trees and cherry trees and cucumbers
and probably crazy like heirloom
peppers it's just
or
like
something
gorgeous, and like what is happening, and I would always just be so thrilled to see that, like just so excited. And then the vacant spaces that weren't being tended to, it was just kind of like, what are we doing with this space, and I think because of the gardens I was already seeing, it was like, we need more of that. I want to do that. That seems really cool. And also I really like the idea of people in the city being able to see food growing, because it's not normal, you know, for us, or even in the suburbs where I grew up. And I think I was also, I was like 24, 25 and had just graduated college. And I was also, I think, starting to think about like what humans' role is on the planet. Like how are we supposed to be stewards? I think I started reading Wendell Berry at the time and was just like in love immediately, you know, when you just find somebody who's just like, you think they're just like your soulmate. They're just saying things that you...
There's some universal, like, deep wisdom.
Yeah, and it's like, I didn't even know that I thought that, but I immediately think that, or I did think, you know, or I never knew how to put that into words. And so I was thinking about that a lot too, just like, and I think that that more broadly, like it was a more broad sort of question of just like, what's going on here what's our role here? And then I think the answer for me started to be found in agriculture, because it's our like largest undertaking that deals with the natural world, you know? And so it seems extremely consequential, like how we do it. And so Andrea invited me over to, and Lauren, and to live in Camden and like learn from her. We had started this space on Frankfurt Avenue at the same time, just kind of like, what if we, you know, planted some food in this garden, and, you know, it's going to be open. It's not going to be a community garden, because there's not like, I mean, it is, but there's not like a board or a organized thing. It's just kind of like, I mean, actually, I think this is still how I move through the world. It's just like, I want to do this. Let's do it. Let's not, I mean, we did have meetings about it.
Ask forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did ask permission, but it's more just like, I don't need there to be like a full organization behind it, or, you know, we'll figure out.
Yeah, you're saying you're not starting like this nonprofit. You're kind of just going to be the boots on the ground.
You know, like friends who had money gave us money for tools. So friends worked at Costco, bought us 2 wheelbarrows, you know, just kind of like whatever. So a bunch of us worked on that. And it was just like a garden that anybody could come into and hang out in, and there was food growing. There was also a lot of perennial plants growing, because my grandmother had a plant nursery, and you know, I dug up a lot of stuff from her place and brought it down, so then it was kind of special in that way. And and then in the meantime moved to Camden. That was the first time I ever in Camden like seeded broccoli, you know, had any experience doing anything vegetable gardening. Like didn't know what any of those little seedlings looked like, you know. Didn't know anything. And that farm was more of an educational farm. But Andrea, I mean, at the time, like, I didn't think I even really, Greensgrow existed, but Andrea's out there in Camden just like running this program. She's getting grants for a greenhouse, you know, like she's just like killing it. And it was really inspiring to me. And
where was that produce going to?
I think it was going to the kids, like where was it going to?
Was it associated with the Catholic parish
Sacred
there?
Heart, yeah. So that's who, like, it was. So there was like we would have kids come and do gardening class, and I don't know if the produce, if there was like a sort of, I don't remember. I never worked a market as part of it, you know.
It sounds like something that is kind of mundane, but if you know the context, like Camden was a booming industrial city during the World Wars. Camden shipyards built many hundreds of, you know, battleships and stuff for the army. But then post-industrial collapse of that industry, like it has become a very rough town, very rough neighborhood, a lot of abandoned houses, you know, a lot of drugs, a lot of, you know, very challenging living situations for the families that are there. And so like bringing fresh produce, organic produce, and growing it in that neighborhood, what is kind of a revolutionary thing.
Absolutely.
And you are also doing that in Kensington.
Yeah.
Which is very similar.
Really
kind
similar.
of post-industrial, you know, economically stressed region of Philadelphia. And I want to get into the land itself at some point, like understanding, because urban areas seem like they're even more constrained for land. So I don't know if you could speak a little bit to deciding on like a piece of land, like in Camden or Kensington or now here in Germantown, you know, and this one you own.
Yeah.
But those you didn't own.
Right.
Who owned those pieces of land?
So the Camden one, I don't remember. I think the school owned it.
Okay.
So it was a little bit more secure.
Yeah.
Because she was like working with this program and the Catholic school had owned it. But I do remember there also being several other plots that she was expanding to that were probably city-owned property. I know for sure the one in Kensington that we had was, I think it was 6 lots. 4 of them were owned by the New Kensington Community Development Corporation, and the other 2 were privately owned, and they were not, like, I don't remember what order they were in, but it was a little bit like we had permission from the CDC, but then we had no permission from these, you know, because the owner wasn't around.
It was kind of an absentee landowner.
Yeah, so it would read like 1 lot, but it was 6.
Yeah.
And yes, just absentee landowner. Which is very common. And like I found out, I mean, I knew that already, but when Matt and I started looking for our own piece of land, like we wanted to be in Kensington because that's where we lived. And we were working with the city and the redevelopment authority trying to find, we wanted at least a half an acre. And in that part of the city, like what looks like a half-acre lot is, again, it's like 30 different parcels.
Yeah.
Half the people are dead. The other half don't live in Philadelphia. Like, you're not getting all of this land.
It's like impossible to track them down.
Yeah, you can't track them down. And it's like, what would it even cost at that point? These are row home lots that are worth like way more than.
So they were row home lots.
They're all row home lots, but they're together.
Yeah.
So it's like you have a whole
sorry.
block at, say, like, one of these places we looked at that we really started fantasizing was at like Lehigh and between like Lehigh and Somerset, maybe on Frankfurt, or I can't remember, but it was up high. And it was basically an entire block that was just raised to the ground.
Yeah. So they used to be row homes.
They were all row
homes. And then
homes.
for one reason or another, the city decided to
Demolish them, yeah.
And what is the soil like?
We didn't even...
Like, what are the different... What's the spectrum of vacant lots in the city and that you would potentially look at to grow on, and the condition of the soil?
Right. So, I mean, we didn't, like, on that place, we did go up and, like, walk around. I don't remember if we brought a shovel or not, but, you know, we never got to a place with that space where we would be doing a soil test, like, where it even seemed like we might be able to buy it. And so I think for us, while we were looking, it was like, we're certainly not trying to buy a once zoned industrial lot, you know, that the lead levels, the contamination is going to be through the roof. You know, Greensboro was built on a former industrial site, and I mean, they had to cap the entire thing and grow in containers, and we did not want to do that.
Yeah.
That was like not at all what I was interested in. And so it's like, it's got to be formally residential. And even that, I mean, the lead levels alone could be very high. You just don't know.
Yeah, because that's not necessarily from the buildings. It's just from the exhaust of vehicles in the city.
And I mean, it is a lot often from the buildings because there's lead paint on the side of all these houses. So, but it's very concentrated. So, you know, you have to do like a proper soil test. Otherwise, you know, because right here there might be like a stack full of windows and then like over there isn't or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, we were certainly concerned about that. And I think just assumed when we find a place that is suitable to purchase, the sale will have to be contingent on like a soil test. Yeah. You know, but we never got to do that because we couldn't find a place that was even for sale. And so that's what brought us to Germantown, because this lot, which is a half acre, was privately owned, and you know, Ross and Angela were buying this mansion to house like a bunch of friends. And we barely knew them at the time. And the woman who owned that house, you know, was like, right before their contract, she sort of changed her mind. And she was like, if you want to buy this house, you have to buy the property I own next door. Oh. That's now like the only way you're going to buy this house.
Oh, wow.
And they were just like, oh, we don't want the property next door. And so they asked us if we wanted it to buy it. And we didn't. We didn't want to live in Germantown. We like rode our bikes up here. We're just like, where are we? You know, it's so far from the city. and we don't know this neighborhood. Also, this property had been totally overgrown, which was really different than like you can picture in Kensington. Like the abandoned lots are empty; they're like mowed.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's a lot of like, oh, I can see what could be here.
Yeah.
You know, you can like easily picture. This was just like abandoned for 40 years, completely overgrown. You couldn't walk through it. So it's just like, I can't even begin to imagine what this would look like because there's a lot of stuff in my way.
Yeah.
You know,
like
and,
wooded kind of and
yeah,
brushy.
and so also we had 3 weeks to decide, so we couldn't do a soil test. So we basically had to be comfortable with like turning around and reselling the property if it came back contaminated. Yeah. So the soil all over the city in these abandoned lots, it's really far ranging. It's like, I always tell people who shop here, who are starting vegetable gardens, they'll say, you know, we're going to build raised beds. And I ask them why. And they're like, well, we just, you know, assume the soil is contaminated. And I'm just like, don't assume that. Do a soil test.
Yeah, that's like your most valuable resource that you own.
Get to know your soil.
Yeah,
And I mean, like, building raised beds is annoying, you know.
It's more costly.
Extremely expensive, right? Like if you can grow in the soil in your backyard, then you should.
That bee doesn't want to leave you alone.
I think, is it a bee? Oh yeah, it is a bee. I thought it was a fly. It's a bee fly, a fly bee. It's like, yes, there's a very good chance you're going to be dealing with lead. There's also a chance that you won't be, and you shouldn't assume that.
Yeah.
I don't think. And I think what the bigger problem for us is the rubble, the amount of rubble in the soil.
Yeah.
It's just
like old bricks and cinder blocks
concrete
and
from
from previous structures.
From the previous structure, which also raises the pH significantly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because
so
it's like
it's very
lime
high.
and...
Yeah.
Huh.
So concrete, yeah, that was one of the things when we did our soil test. You know, the lead levels were low, and we had sectioned the whole thing off, but I was like, what's up with this pH through the roof? I mean, it was a little, I don't remember what it was originally, but it was pretty high.
Yeah.
It was not ideal, you know, and I was talking that, you know, these soil labs, you can call them and discuss the results or whatever. And he was like, yeah, I mean, this is really common for city lots. There's a lot of concrete in the soil, and concrete has a pH of like 8.5 or something.
Oh, wow.
And so if it's breaking down in all, you know, you've got pieces of it all over the place, and that's what's happening.
It's just like, so is that a constant battle then?
No,
Or...
I feel like over time it just sort of, I mean, we brought in so much compost in the first few years that I feel like it really, I mean, my pH is not low, but it's fine now. I mean, I haven't tested it in a long time, but.
So you've came onto this lot, lots of rubble, tree clearing, trying to just reclaim it basically from nature.
Yeah.
Which occurs to me that could have been a good sign as well.
It
that
was. I thought so.
You know, that it had been kind of feral for decades.
And there was like a really thick layer of compost. Trees, because all the trees around here just dropping leaves year after year after year.
The soil's kind of going back to its natural state.
Yeah, totally. There were like salamanders here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, it was more just that it was time consuming because it was, you know, multiflora rose vines that were 15, 20 feet tall, and then they were like wrapped in porcelain berry. So it was like this like wavy sea.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw it, I think.
So you said you were from the suburbs, but you like the city? You were living in the city?
Much. I've been living in the city since I graduated, or since before I graduated college.
So it's almost, there's a moral kind of like food security reason for urban farming, but also just an organic personal lifestyle reason for like you want to farm and you like the city. So this is just where it has to happen.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I do care about food security, and it's something that I've gotten, obviously, once I actually started farming and I learned about, you know. I think for me, yeah, it was a food security issue. It was also like, I want cities to have like gardens that can be seen by the public. And yes, I want people to have access to the food that is growing in those gardens, but I think even just the seeing of it is like inspiring. And then, yeah, I think more than probably anything is like, I have to farm and I have to live in the city. Those
Yeah.
two things are non-negotiable.
Yeah. Well, I feel like one of the crazy things that always crosses my mind regarding, like, in the context of the sustainable or regenerative or organic ag movement and like that whole industry is like some of these things seem like very innovative and forward thinking, but then oftentimes when you dig deep enough and you learn enough about the history of agriculture, none of it is actually new. Like historically, many cities, especially European cities, would have had small farms or at least, we were just in Switzerland and there's a lot of places over there where people have small gardens, like small family gardens, and it's just part of that culture. And historically, it would have been the path of the food from the field to the table was very short.
Yeah.
And most families would have been involved in some way, shape, or form in some kind of agricultural endeavor. So, like, while what you're doing seems innovative and like it's actually historically
totally
like the precedent. It's a very normal thing to do, and it would be great if people thought about it that way more and
agree.
didn't think of it as something that's inaccessible or hummingbird. Oh, nice. That's cool.
Makes me so happy.
Female ruby-throated.
Yeah, I think that's why I called it the kitchen garden.
Yeah.
Because there's such a history of people have gardens. They grow their own food, and in this like a large space but small for a farm, and the idea, being that the distance between your food and where the food's being grown, where it's being eaten, they're the same place, they're in the same place. And so I think for me, being in a neighborhood where people who live in the neighborhood can like come here. It's like, this is our kitchen garden, except I do all the work.
Yeah. You're just a neighborhood farmer.
I'm the neighborhood farmer.
Obviously you have space constraints here. Yeah. You only own so much land, and there's also just houses all around you, which is not something that you have a choice in here. Like, you could find more land maybe nearby, but as you already said, that's challenging. But I also think that for new and beginning farmers, or even people who just want a big garden, it is hard to think about land and land access sometimes. And like, you're not necessarily out there on like social media, YouTube, doing like, I'm doing, these high intensity gardens, and like, that's not really your goal. It's just what you have to do. You have to get the maximum production out of this land. So I wondered if you have some insights about that can help people who maybe can't afford to buy a lot of land, or but you said this is a half an acre.
It's a total of a half an acre. So I mean, I'm not even growing on the whole half acre. Yeah, we got the wash station, we got the farm stand, nursery, whatever. But yeah, I mean, when I think about this kind of question, it's like, it's a couple different things. It's like, what do you want to do? I could be making more money if I were, if I were selling like 5 different crops to a bunch of really high-end restaurants. Yeah. So that's a way to go. With a small space, just like maximize your market. Like, what's your market? Think that first. If your main goal is like, making a really good living, which, is hard to do. And I feel like I've gone around, I figured it out on another way for me, where I started the plant nursery. Or like, I think, you're going to have some kind of like diverse income stream. And planting really intensively. I mean, it's a huge challenge to not be able to rotate your crops significantly. You
kind of have to use all of the growing space every year.
There's no part of it that is not being used.
Yeah.
And that's obviously pretty challenging.
Yeah.
I basically just am like, cross my fingers that my tomatoes are like not gonna just get terribly diseased one year. And
and you are over the years employing more technology as far as like these hoop houses that you're growing your tomatoes in, so you can grow the tomatoes vertically closer together,
prune
and
them,
have higher yield per square foot theoretically. And you're greenhouse that you didn't have for a while.
No.
To start seeds.
Yeah.
To extend the season.
Yeah.
And so just little things like that. But as you mentioned, also finding other ways to make money with what you have without having to sell more produce. So
right, if that just becomes not an option, right? I'm maxed out.
Yeah.
And like I said, I have chosen to market my stuff at an on-site farm stand because I want people to come in here. I like talking to people. I want them to see how a farm works, and I want to sell my food to like people.
The neighborhood.
Yeah. And so, so that's what I've chosen, and it's probably not the most lucrative, but so because I've chosen that, then I had to sort of think, okay, well, what else can I do? We can have a plant nursery. So yeah, I'll start all my own seedlings in this greenhouse, but then I'll also sell veggie and herb seedlings. Because we're in Germantown, people have gardens, you know, and that turned out to be a great idea, you know, and it's a pretty low cost for me. I'm already in there, like, doing all this stuff.
Yeah, and you have more space than you necessarily need for your own
vegetable
transplants.
Now I'm, like, kind of maxed out. That's the thing. It's like I didn't really build the greenhouse with the future of, like... but yes. And so, yeah, I think when you have small space, it's, like, all the techniques, which I definitely learned a lot of techniques of, like, how to... I feel like around the time that I started farming, people were talking more and more about, again, not quite an innovation. People have been doing this forever, but I feel like we had gotten so far into like these row crops with like driving a tractor through them. They're placed, 2 feet apart, 3 feet, whatever. And then it's like, they don't really need to be that far apart, as long as you are taking care of them, right? Like, as long as the tomatoes are being pruned and they have airflow around them. And so I think techniques, and then also, your market. And I feel like I have a hard time, sometimes the city doesn't have a lot of for-profit farms. What I will call a farm business. I don't really like the word for-profit. It's not a corporation. It's just like a sole proprietorship. It's all nonprofits in the city, except for this farm and a couple flower farms. And that's great. We need nonprofits because one of the biggest problems in our agricultural system is you have people who can't afford to buy food, and you have farmers who can't afford to they're not making a living, you know? And so something needs to, so a lot of times it's a nonprofit who just funnels money into the operation so that their income has nothing to do with the amount of produce that they're selling. But when I talk to people who are interested in making a business of it, which I want more people to be interested in that, I do feel like I have to give a lot of caveats where I'm just like, I don't have kids, I don't have debt, like maybe it wouldn't work for everybody, or my life is really cheap. I have like a really low standard of living and somehow still feel like I'm like living exactly how I want to live, I think.
Yeah, those are like background things too that facilitate your own personal financial success.
For sure.
Which is something that gets overlooked when it comes to like small business in general. Just understanding like if you're willing to live simply or modestly, there's cook your own food, not eat out all the time. Like just simple things like that can shave a lot off of the like personal household budget and facilitate a great lifestyle on a smaller income, and you can then do the the thing that you're trying to do with a small business or a farm or
I think you have to think about what you want your life to be like. And I'm sorry if this is like off the topic now. We were
that's okay.
But
you're growing produce and mostly selling it at the farm stand here on the farm. Okay.
Yeah, I have sold to restaurants in the past when I didn't, when the farm stand was just starting out, or even 5 years in, it wasn't like enough income. So
And what does that look like? How many? Is that Saturdays?
It's just Saturdays.
Just Saturday mornings. And where are people coming from?
They come from Germantown, Mount Airy, mostly, probably like equally, and then a few people from Chestnut Hill. I just know that personally because I like know who they are. East Falls, like Northwest Philly. I don't know. Like the nursery is attended by more people than live in Northwest Philly, but the farm stand on the regular, I would say people who live in this. What we
and
refer
you are
to
selling other products.
I'm selling. So that was another right. So it's like it's not just that I had to diversify the business from like farm stand to nursery to, then we can talk later about the winter market or the wreaths, but also, am I gonna only sell what I grow? And that was a huge challenge for me. Like, I don't know, it was like a point of pride. I want to be in control.
Seems
and
to be, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I was really sheepish about it for a while. And then I was like, actually, this is great because ultimately, like, I care about farming and supporting small farms. So if I can like tell my customers, like, you guys are supporting like small local farms, like from the, you know, the 100 miles away, like we're doing that together, like that makes me really excited. And then also I can stop growing things that just make no sense for me to grow.
Yeah.
Because then the farm stand did get really well attended. So then it's like, okay, well now
you're making it more worth the customer's time.
Yes,
because you have more products available, and they also, what Kara and I kind of came to that realization at one point in our farming career, where we were like, you know, these people, these customers, they trust us. Like we can tell them anything and they'll believe us about like the produce or the farm, and which, you know, there's a responsibility there. It's a huge responsibility. But it also is an opportunity. Right. Because you can then tell them, hey, look, I'm going to start selling this product, this honey or this bread or, you know, this thing that's made by this other local producer who you don't have access to right now, but I'm going to give you access to. And it's great quality. And you've built enough trust that they're going to take your word for it and believe you. And then obviously, if it is good, they're going to keep buying it. Yeah. But that gives you another outlet for how to diversify what you're offering and selling and customer retention, more revenue, things like that. Yeah. But I think it should also be mentioned that your farm stand is basically pop-up tents. It's not like it's not like you have a farm store. I don't have a farm store. Sorry, that's not an insult.
I think it's just funny because I try and explain that to people because I feel like that's what they're picturing.
Yeah, it's not a fancy like bougie farm store. I'm sure you'd love to have that someday.
Right, but the zoning would change, which is why I don't. Yeah. Like I would get slapped with like, now we're coming in. You have walls. Now we're inspecting you. Now the health department is here. Yeah. You know, you got to have whatever, all these different things.
But I think it's a good thing to know because you can do a lot with a pop-up tent and some tables.
The pop-up tent has just gotten really big. Yeah. Like it started out as like a 10 by 10 and now it's like a 20 by 27. Yeah. So I feel like the story could be told in the size of the pop-up tent alone. Last year I got really nice tables. Yeah, so I zhuzh it up every couple years. But I don't, it is a really like low stakes kind of setting, you know, but I really didn't want to leave the premises. I didn't want to do markets. I wanted to have my own market.
Yeah. And then, so beyond the weekly market, you also have some special events, if you could call it that.
Yeah, we have a few special events. Yeah. Or we have one. We have like one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we do have other special events, but they don't make me money. We have concerts. Yeah. I mean, I might make $100 off the concert.
Yeah, but that's like marketing.
It's like people like to come into the garden and they'll maybe remember that I exist and they'll come here on a Saturday. So we haven't had any this year, but we used to have concerts once a month. Now it's more like 3 times a summer. The plant nursery is the other major part of my business. Yeah. It's like 50% of my business is plant sales. So it's not just seedlings, it's like perennial plants and shrubs. So now I feel like I have a lot of people who garden all over the area come here. And then the other like major event is the winter market, which started out where we would sell Christmas trees. My friend Liz and I, who I like started landscaping for when I took a year off from the farm, she and I were just like, wouldn't it be so fun if we had a Christmas tree sale? Yeah. And in order for me to start the farm up again after Matt and I got divorced, because I was like, I'm not making a living off of this. This is like a hobby. And so I needed some time to see if I was going to actually be able to do it. And in order to start back up in 2016, I made a bunch of wreaths and I sold them, which is something I grew up doing with my grandma, who had a Christmas tree farm. So it was, I'm going to make a bunch of wreaths. We're going to sell Christmas trees. We'll have some vendors come and sell their cute little things they make. And then that's become a huge event. Like just 55, 60 vendors all tell me it's the best market they do all year.
Yeah.
It's like become really competitive. I'm making like 300 wreaths in 2 weeks, which I really honestly at this point wish I didn't have to do, 'cause it's really hard. But it's the only profitable, it's like, I mean, it's not the only profitable, it's the most straightforwardly profitable activity that I do, you know, just like, I'm going to get these materials, I'm going to make this thing and sell it for more money, and I get to keep that money for the winter.
They're beautiful wreaths.
Thanks.
And yeah, we've been here for it, and it's super fun. There's food and drink and music and gifts
and the people come, it's like, one thing the vendors tell me all the time is like, the people are so nice. That's the other thing. I don't know what it is. The customers on my farm stand and at the winter market are just really cool. And I don't know, like we were talking earlier before we started about just like personal branding or it's just sort of like positioning yourself. Like I feel like because I am the owner of the farm and I'm here all the time, I'm like, people know me. Yeah. And they like that. You know, they like really like that the person who owns a place is here. And I just feel like it facilitates this very like kind, nice
You're
vibe.
Like family kind of to them. And you're their farmer.
Yeah, I'm their farmer. And so even though not everyone who comes to the market, most people who come to the winter market have never been here before, I would say. Or maybe half of them. And they're here, they're having a nice time. They're also shopping. So it's like a really ideal situation because they're like here to spend money and to like just be sweet and like have some cute communal time or whatever. So yeah, the winter market is great. I love it. The wreath making I kind of don't love anymore, but so far I just still have to do it.
Oh, that's a great diversification and like you're leveraging what you've already created. And so and I think that's a unique insight to just think about what opportunities are accessible to you beyond just having to plant a seed and grow a tomato and harvest the tomato and sell that tomato. And that's totally, I think a lot of farmers have a very deep sense of pride for what they do, and that it's like, if I don't make money growing a crop and selling that crop, then I'm not a real farmer or I'm selling out or that kind of stuff. But it's really not. It's all part of the same ecosystem of agriculture, and that historically many farms would have supplemental income or other things that they would do, even in the winter. Like Japanese farmers will grow produce in the summer and then do pottery in the winter, or Mennonite Amish farmers will grow in the summer and then process their tobacco in the winter, or have a wood shop in the winter, things like that. You know, and it's a great insight. And I think one of the things you haven't done is any kind of like value-added products.
It's so hard in the city. I would say like this is one of the more challenging. The city is not set up to encourage this type of business. And so you know how there are like cottage laws in the entire rest of the state where you have, you can use your home kitchen to make certain things like bread, like or baked goods or jam. If you don't have any whatever, somebody will come and look at it. You cannot do that in Philly. It's illegal.
Really?
Yeah. So you have to have a commercial kitchen, or you have to be using somebody else's commercial kitchen. So that's a huge barrier. I've thought about it, but it's just like, I joked with Ross. I just saw Ross the other day. I had so many tomatoes, and he's like, "What are you gonna do? You're gonna make? Could you make sauce and sell it?" And I was just like, "Yeah, for like $30 a jar."
Yeah, yeah.
It's like that's how much work's gonna go into me doing that. And then also like no, because it's not legal. I don't have anywhere to process those tomatoes. I do dry herbs in the greenhouse, and I sell them in like tea. I sell lemon verbena tea and tulsi and calendula and a few other things. That's like the only consistent value-added stuff I've done, and I would like to do more of it if I had, if I could like build out some better drying racks in the greenhouse. But what I use right now is fine. yeah, at times I've thought like, what would it take to maybe we could like build a commercial kitchen that would be part of like a cooperative that other people could use. That was sort of a dream I had for a while. I would like to look into it still, but the city just, it doesn't make it easy with zoning. It's like, this is a residentially zoned property, which once the zoning code was rewritten, allows for farming, market farming. But to have like a commercially equipped kitchen would probably mess with that zoning.
Yeah, because it would be more fall into commercial zoning.
Yeah. And the biggest issue is the city doesn't know what to do with these things. You know, when you were saying like, why not the suburbs? Why not the country or something? I love the city. I love living here. But one of the bigger challenges, aside from the size, is just how ill-equipped the city government is to even like answer the questions.
Yeah,
like they don't know.
They've never heard these questions before.
They don't know what these questions are. So even when you're like building a greenhouse, it's like, well, I know I'm supposed to pull a permit for a building, but how long is it going to take the city to determine if this is a building?
Mm-hmm.
you know, like I might still be waiting for them to be like, is it permanent or is it temporary? We can't decide. We don't know. We don't have a language around this, you know. There are people in the city working on, you know, I'm now part of this like coalition of farmers and other interested parties who are like working on the ag plan for the city. But
I heard, so I was doing a little bit of research beforehand, and one of the things, it said there was over 400 urban farms in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, I think that includes community gardens.
Community gardens too, and there is some kind of urban farming plan in the works or already?
It exists as a document.
Okay.
You could read it.
Okay.
It's long.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's like a Department of Urban Agriculture. And I think in 2000, I don't know, a few years ago, they finished this document. Maybe it was more than a few years ago. It's a couple hundred pages long. It's like the Urban Ag Plan. And then the next steps that I think were like set out in the plan were to like gather a bunch of people together to like choose. There's a bunch of categories in the plan. There's land, there's people, there's consumption. So issues that are, you know, it's like access to land, production. So like, how do we grow food? People is more like, I don't remember what people is. I don't know. There's like 5 categories. We got invited to go to this. It's basically a think tank. Yeah. Okay. It's just like we're all together. We have these like we have to choose like from each which like group we want to be in, and then when we get in that group, we have to basically narrow down like our priorities to 3 priorities that we're going to work on for the next year. And then this is being funded by I don't know who. Cool. And the people who are involved, there's also like 4 categories of people involved. There's farmers, there's like nonprofit institutions, there's city government, and there's actually I think there's city, state, and federal government are all in one. Wow. So everybody is there together. It's a little chaotic, to be honest. Yeah. But what was my point in bringing
Sounds
this
ambitious,
up?
but
it's a little. Yeah.
Is that? Do you know? Is that something that's unique to Philadelphia, or do other cities do that? Or
I think it is pretty unique. Although, from my understanding, because another thing I'm a part of is the county. The FSA, the Farm Service Agency, finally got it. We've finally got our own county office, which we never had.
Philadelphia We've been working County's on Farm Service Agency.
Yeah, so we were always going through Bucks County, and in the last few years, we got our own. And from that, I'm on the committee, and through that, I've learned. Pittsburgh has a really robust urban farming situation. I don't know though, like administratively or in the government, what their support system is, but it seems really robust anyway. So I think like trying to tackle these, like there are people now at least trying to tackle these ideas of like, okay, well, what do farmers need to really be able to have a farm in the city, and I think things like that where it's like, well, they need to be able to build a greenhouse without a lot of flack. So they need the city to understand what a greenhouse is, or they might need a commercial kitchen. And you might need to like come up with a rule that if it's on a if it's on a market farm or a community garden, they're just allowed to do that,
Yeah.
you know, or they can just pull
Yeah.
permits but not have to have the zoning changed, you know, things like that, because it's just not part of the language. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's important because it facilitates fresh fruits and vegetables
Right.
in the city directly,
Right.
rather than having to bring them in from outside.
Right, and we have so much land. And I think I also would love the city to see these farms as, I would like to see people in general see farming as a potential business, which they don't. And I think that's because we all kind of know somewhere that we don't like to pay a lot for food. And so farmers aren't really making a lot of money. But I just think it's like kind of one of the last things that people are being asked to do for like very little money. Like we talk so much about like a living wage, but we're still not really talking about it for farmers. Like people in my life are still celebrating how little money they just spent on produce at the grocery store, you know? Like they talk about it all the time. And I'm just like, I hate hearing this.
Yeah.
It's like my least favorite thing to hear.
Yeah, because you understand what the trickle-down effect of that is. Why, like, if that is that cheap,
how is it
then,
that
like,
cheap?
Yeah, how is that even possible?
It's staggering, you know? So I want people to think of it as a possibility to have a farm in the city and run it as a business and not feel bad about that. You know?
For kids who live in the city to aspire to that without having to think about how am I going to get a loan for $1 million to buy, you know, 20 acres of land out in the country or something.
Right, because in the country, that's the thing, there's so many opportunities in this city because we live in such a densely populated area. We are very aware all the time of like the food security issues and the land use issues, the issues that come when a property has been abandoned for decades. The city's not getting tax revenue, you know, all these different things. And I think there is more opportunity for the city to step in and like hand over some of this land in a more thoughtful way, so that people, there's just so many. I remember recently there was a farm in Aubrey that was they were growing food and giving it away, and I had posted about it, and somebody was like, aren't you worried that they're going to put you out of business? And I was like, do you know how many people live in this city?
Yeah.
I'm a half-acre farm. No, I'm not worried.
3 to 4 million people or something?
So many people. It's just like, we need farms everywhere, and they all need to be doing different stuff.
Yeah.
Some of them can be giving food away. Some of them can be selling food.
Yeah.
It's going to take all kinds.
So we're talking about a lot of great things, and the video cut off, and we just discovered that after. But you do have a book that people can email you and beg you for.
Yeah.
It's poetry, prose, musings about farming and gardening.
Yeah. It's handmade.
They're
made to order.
Yeah. They're not available on the website yet, germantownkitchengarden.com.
Right.
And you have the market on Saturdays.
9 to 1.
9 to 1. And you also have the winter market, second weekend in December.
Yeah, Saturday, I think, is the 13th.
So folks should check you out on Instagram, too, if they want to follow along.
Yeah, Germantown Kitchen Garden.
And we're going to do this again. And we're going to talk about interesting things like microclimates in urban growing regions and
farmer
creativity,
burnout.
farmer burnout. We're going to talk about that stuff.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Okay, thanks.